Ukraine's latest strikes on Russian targets, both on land and at sea, are raising new concerns about Russia's ability to keep fertilizer and energy exports moving. At the same time, attacks near Taman are putting ammonia and oil routes back in the spotlight, just as the urea market starts to heat up again on surprise buying and rising geopolitical tension. I'm Johanna Botta, and here to break it all down for us is Josh Linville, VP of Fertilizer at StoneX. Josh, happy holidays.
Thank you. You as well. So much for a quiet end of the year.
I know. We have a lot to talk about. So let's start with Ukraine's latest strikes. So, given Russia's huge role in global fertilizer exports, how serious is the risk that Ukraine's new attacks, especially on tankers, could disrupt supply chains?
I still think it's a very low probability. I mean, you think about the number of vessels that head into and out of Russian ports every single day, week, month, year. I mean, for Ukraine to be able to go out there and target every single one and be able to know, don't touch this one, but let's go after that one, you're talking an impossible task. But I think it highlights something that's very, very important. I think it needs to be at the height of kind of our point of view because, yes, these attacks that we saw towards the close of last week, they attacked a Russian oil tanker that was part of their shadow fleet, as we've been seeing throughout the news. And there was also an attack directly against a nitrogen production facility within Russia. Obviously, that attack on the Russian facility is what the fertilizer market focused on. And oh my gosh, it's going to be down. Oh my gosh, what's the damage? Today, we still don't know the extent of the damage. Today, we still don't know the extent of how long that plant will be down for, if at all. But I still worry more about the attack on the Russian oil tanker because one of the things we always talk about is what if we were to lose Russian exports? That's very difficult to do, right? You're talking about trying to shut down every single one of their ports, you're trying to target every single one of them, but you don't need to stop them. You've got to put enough doubt in the mind of the vessel owners, of the vessel crew to basically sit there and say, that is too high of a risk. I am not going to put myself in harm's way. I will not sail to these facilities until there is safe passage. And when you start to look at it, why is this a big deal? This is across every single major fertilizer product out there. Urea, they're the biggest global exporter, single nation exporter. UAN, they're the second largest UAN exporter. The only reason they're not number one is because their only major demand destination is the US. They've made everybody else angry and they won't do trade with them. Anhydrous in 2024, they were the eighth largest. Well, put an asterisk on that. They used to be number one back when they were in good nature with Ukraine. But since that point, they've fallen all the way back to number eight. Phosphate, they're number two. Potash, they're number four. Potash, they're number two. So if we continue down this road and we get into a situation where they start attacking more of these vessels and some of them are bulk, I think we need to watch the fertilizer market very, very quickly. This will be something that's not just an individual product. This is something that's going to hit every single major one out there.
Yeah, I certainly would not want to send my ships over if I knew there was even a possibility of that happening. We also saw strikes on facilities in the Taman region overnight, which is a major hub for Russia's ammonia exports. What can you tell us about the impact there?
Yeah, and so far, again, these strikes are going towards oil assets, right? That's what they look at. They say, hey, the Russian economy, it's so largely driven by the export of natural resources. And what's one of the biggest, most valuable resources in the world today? It's oil. So they're attacking oil vessels, they're attacking oil facilities in Taman. But if you've been to any of our presentations here, let's just say in the last year or so, we've been watching a new anhydrous export facility being built and should be operational in the Taman region. But one of the things we've always talked about is let's say you go out there and you start to make that plant operational and it's full of anhydrous and Ukraine makes a decision, we're going to attack that. Anybody who has ever ran a toolbar, anybody who has applied or worked with anhydrous, you know how incredibly dangerous, how incredibly bad this stuff is when it leaks out into the air. I mean, you talk about a small hose breaking. My dad's got tons of stories of hoses breaking and you're having to crawl away uphill, upwind, trying to get away from it, or you're going to suffocate. You think about the scale of a facility that's loading vessels to go around the world. This is a big reason why we don't think it's operational. Russia has basically said, no, this is too close. It is well within the wheelhouse of Ukraine to strike if we have this thing operational. The strikes over a weekend just prove that is absolutely possible. If they can strike an oil facility the size of this place that they hit, they can absolutely hit a anhydrous export facility. So, unfortunately, I think if they were even leaning towards making this plant operational, this attack will cement them in the no, not until peace is found.
Yeah, understood. And lastly, before I let you go, Global urea markets had really lost momentum heading into the end of 2025. Can you tell us what was behind that slowdown first? And now, can you tell us what's driving prices higher again?
Yeah, so we had finally started to see the market play out a little bit of what we had thought. We had looked at where we were this time of year, December of 25, and I started comparing it to December 24. It started very quickly realizing the S&D of the world is in much better shape. China is exporting far more product. Russia is still exporting a lot. The European outlook is improving this year. A lot of the supply things that were in trouble the same time last year were largely improved or well on their way to improving. Yet when we looked at the values of prices around the world, they were about 20% higher. Econ 101 says that is not the way the markets are supposed to work. So we really started to question it. And then all of a sudden you started to see European buyers were largely full. They didn't need any more. You started to look at global manufacturers. They were still making sales for December ship. We're just now starting to see them make January ship, meaning they don't have a very strong sales book on. Not to say they can't, but so far they hadn't. So we finally started to see these prices scale back. But now all of a sudden we've just been taking punch after punch after punch. We had India announcing their purchase tender at least 30 days earlier than what we expected. Iranian production is going to take a hit because it's been cold there. So they're having to take their gas supplies, push it to the public to heat their homes. Obviously, the Russia Ukraine situation continues. So we've had a lot of bullish things. In this market, it's one that's emotionally speaking, it's always felt bullish. It looks like it's trying to find any sort of a point out there to push the price idea higher, but it felt fundamentally bearish. Well, we're just now feeding that bull again. Like I said, you start bringing these stories online, and it's one after another after another. It's hard to see markets going back down short term. I'm hoping we'll see things calm down, everything return to normal. We can start that downward slide. But for right now, the bull's being fed.
I'm sure the first thing that I will ask you in January is about another urea tender by India, but who knows? Josh, as always, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for the insight today and obviously all of your hard work throughout the year. And to our viewers, wishing you all a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you back here in the new year.